Welcome, Alerisa.
Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Please tell everybody about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Alerisa Rose. I am the lead singer for Dred Buffalo. We are a rock band based in New England. We've been together for about the last like 2.5 years. We play all up and down New England from about Rhode Island to New Hampshire, looking to expand. And yeah, we love rock music. We love to play it.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. You definitely have landed on the right branch to find more people to play with. I would recommend that you check out Paralandra. And
Cool.
yeah, because they are also a rock blues band. And Cassandra, the singer, is super, super nice and friendly.
Cool.
Um, and she's in the South. And yeah, how would you describe the sound of your band? Someone who's never heard it.
So I describe us as definitely on like the blues rock vibe. We take a lot of inspiration from like classic rock, but then also like 90s grunge, because all of our members kind of come from like both of those worlds. My bassist and my drummer, they're really into like the 90s grunge stuff. And then me and my guitarist, we kind of sit more on the classic rock side. So we have some like modern flair, but we love like a good guitar solo. So
Nice. Yeah, I would say that your band sounds like if Janis Joplin sang for the White Stripes.
sick. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. We actually are just finished writing a song that we even specifically said we were like, oh, this kind of sounds like a Jack White song. So that is definitely hitting. Yeah, very
That's,
cool.
yeah, and then also um, definitely I hear like a heart influence.
Huge, huge heart influence. Yeah, we cover a handful of their songs. We'll do like Barracuda. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like we also love like Jefferson Airplane, like Grace Slick, of course, is like
Mm-hmm.
incredible. So
She
yeah.
sure is. And you have four singles out right now and a lot of
Mhm.
traffic on those four singles. And the band
Thank
started in
you.
2020, right? So off to a flying start.
Yeah, we've been super happy with the reception so far. I feel like it's a mixture of just like lucky and also like us grinding. And yeah, so far the four singles that we recorded them at Big Nice Studio in Rhode Island with Bradford, incredible producer. He was such a pleasure to work with, Gemini, if I remember correctly. And that was a really great time. And we recently just finished up recording like two new singles too, so those will be out eventually.
Nice, nice. Do you have any like season that you think those singles are going to come out?
Yeah, so we recorded those two singles actually down in Nashville with this producer. His name is Roger Allen Nichols. He was again also such a pleasure to work with. He actually came up to Mass to like see us for a show, hang out with us for the weekend, catch a vibe, and then he was like, "Yep, come down to my studio. Let's make this happen."
Nice.
And we're releasing the first single on August 23rd, so basically right around the corner.
Yeah, 10
Mhm.
days, countdown.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, so the grind, you were just saying before we started that you were working on some content late into the night. Is that going to promote your single on the 23rd?
Yep. So we just finished filming a music video a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago now. We just got the first draft for that back. So that's kind of our more like polished professional like .mp4 file that we're going to be posting on YouTube.
Hmm.
But then last night, for example, me and my guitarist actually we share an apartment, which is where I'm living in right now. So we get to like work a lot together.
Hmm.
And so last night we were doing this kind of scene where I'm basically surrounded by tea lights and like underwater. So
Ooh.
we used, yeah, so we used like the bathtub, and we did like another scene because in our music video we just play off of like a phone call metaphor basically, and we have these like really old rotary phones.
Hmm.
So we did a couple of shots with an excessive amount of tea lights to the point where my guitarist's his name is Chase, and he was like, "This is too many tea lights, and I'm gonna have like a bucket of water over here because I'm afraid of the amount of fire that we have going in our apartment right now." But yeah, just some visual content, filmed on iPhone, just to kind of have some like vertical shots for things like TikTok and Instagram, which we will be releasing those next week. And then once the single is actually out, then we'll have like the nice, music video for everybody to enjoy.
Smart to have the water nearby. Cool. Well, that sounds really exciting and creative.
Mhm.
So when did you first realize that you loved rock and metal music and you wanted to create more of it?
Yeah, I started my like music journey with like with like the good music when I started listening to like Pandora like way back in the day, and I
Mhm.
started to kind of just listen to like some modern rock, and like it started off with just like the Arctic Monkeys and like the White Stripes, and like I really love Cage the Elephant. They're my number one band ever basically, for just like more so because I grew up with them kind of thing.
Mhm.
But then I started getting more into things like classic rock, and I obviously discovered like Janis Joplin, and I discovered The Doors, and I discovered Jimi Hendrix, and then got super obsessed with their like psychedelic, drawn out, like just the mournful crying and like all of their
Mhm.
voices and the way that they were just expressing themselves fully.
Mhm.
And then that transitioned into me being a scene kid. And I went to Warp Tour like for so many years. I think I went to like 4 Warp Tours or something like that. And it was like the first place I ever crowd surfed. And like that energy was like unmatched. Like you are dehydrated on the hot tarmac, and 7 bands are playing all around you at like, top volume. And like that is a sensation I don't think I'll ever get back ever again.
Yeah, and those were the days when people still used digital cameras. Like people didn't really have phone cameras.
I had been like making music. So I've been playing guitar since I was around like 11. And it just started off as just like, simple lessons, simple chords, whatever. And then I'd basically come home every day after like school and just play covers of songs that were interesting to me. And it started off obviously with like, okay, this song has 3 chords. Cool, I'm gonna learn it, and then you get all of those, and then you figure out like bar chords. Like the F bar chord is like the first hurdle, I feel like, for every single guitar player, or at least that's my opinion. And you start to get those things cooking, and then like really what happened was I experienced like my first heartbreak, and I think that that was the first catalyst of like I need to put this down on paper, because like I had written like other songs before. Like I was in like a band class in middle school, and I wrote some really cute fluffy song about me and my best friend like going to the mall or something. Like I can't even remember
Mhm.
what it was about, but it was like an assignment, so like I had to do it, and I just put the chords together, and I made it rhyme, and it was cool and whatever. But then I basically had this like on again, off again relationship with this girl that like we never really understood how everything was going on. And I think like side note, I think it's like amazing how the queer community is so loud now in the world, where I feel like had I had that representation when I was younger, things wouldn't have been so confusing. But I'm happy that it's here now,
Mhm.
because I see people like when I was that confused and that young, like having a better understanding of themselves. And so that was my first song ever. I wrote it, and literally the song is called Suffering. Like it was just like she fucked me over, and I was so upset, and we had to part our separate ways, and I didn't know anything else to do. I couldn't really talk to anybody about it, couldn't talk to my mom about it, God forbid.
Mhm.
So I started off there, like, and ever since then, it's just been such an outlet for me to get it all down on paper. It helps me give my grief a job, because if
Okay.
not, it just
Yeah.
sticks within me. But then, it kind of transitioned into also writing about things that were inspiring and hopeful for me. Like our single More, that we have out now, is about this thing called Lucky Girl Syndrome, which like I don't know if you already know what that is, but it's like this TikTok trend thing, and it's also kind of like a manifestational thing. And I just thought it was fabulous, because it's essentially like if you wake up every morning and you say, I'm so lucky and everything works out for me, you kind of like fall into that energy through the day. And I've been fortunate enough to experience so many things that I can only describe as like luck. Like, yeah, maybe right place, right time, totally. But yeah, the transition basically into writing music was just all the pain that I had in my tiny child body needed to go somewhere. And then on top of that, it started to feel like I could use my music to almost like like cast spells. Like it's like I'm gonna write about this and I'll be able to sing this over and over and over and over and remind myself like, hey, this is who you are. You're a badass. This is what's amazing. And these are the good things about your life. And you just say those words over and over and all of a sudden it becomes such a reality for you. So
Yeah, absolutely. I have this big painting on the wall at the end of my bed, so like at the foot of my bed, and um, it's a painting I made that in like a glittery kind of Hollywood font says "Miracles happen," and every day I wake up and it's the first thing I see, and I'm like,
yeah.
I might have like projects in mind, and I might have like plans, but like there are these unplanned miracles that will happen too. But I've never heard of lucky girl syndrome. This was just like something I always, well, I don't know, it was in my room. And um and yeah, songs are totally incantations. Like
Oh, 100%.
absolutely. Like you're putting literally spells out of your mouth into the vibrations of the music. And something else you said there. Oh, yeah, falling into the vibration of like fortune is like a studied thing. When your mindset is gratitude and abundance, it will lower your blood pressure and do all of these other things to you so that your body, this is like for people with chronic illness, this is like a really important behavior. Having
Mhm,
an abundance and gratitude mindset allows your body to actually heal more because it's
mhm,
not in a fight state. It's like you just tell yourself you have enough, and so you don't need to struggle so much. So that is real
yeah.
girl math right there. That's called girl algebra.
Yeah, that's some girl calculus right there.
Hmm.
That's
So,
exactly.
uh, if your music were a movie soundtrack, what would the movie be about?
Oh yeah. I think that it would mostly be like a combination of like a fantasy Lord of the Rings style dragons and fairies slash like
Mhm.
girl coming of age story. Like I have like I mean, I work with three other guys and they really let me like take the reins on the lyrics and a lot of like the concepts that we do. And don't get me wrong, like my drummer, he's an incredible musician. I mean, they all are. And my drummer, he will put in a lot of lyrics sometimes, and sometimes he's like, I really need to get this out. Like I want you to sing it, but I really need to get this like down on paper.
Mhm.
And we touch upon a lot of different topics from like, success and confidence and heartbreak to addiction and just kind of like working through these emotions that are like super potent and powerful for us.
Mhm.
But I think we kind of try to always add this air of like mystery and magic and sparkle. And I always want there to be like a dragon off in the distance. So yeah, kind of something along those lines.
Sparkle Dragon Fairy coming of age. I'm here for it. I have some movies to send to you. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, first of all, if you like animated films, you should check out this piece, this film that Blondie, Debbie Harry, was a part of. It's called Rock and Rule. Animation in it is great, top notch, and it's a musical, animated musical, and Debbie Harry sings some of the songs, and it's just got a wonderful plot about like, the underdog that want to make music and they're beating the music industry, old curmudgeon character that's like the big boss. And then the other is check out this one called The Devil and Daniel Mouse, which is more magical and more fairy feeling. And it has freaking awesome like 70s um rock music. Um and like the lead is a singer. It's a girl singer. The Voyage of Rock Aliens from 1984, not animated, but it's a rock and roll musical starring Zia Pedora. And Vicious Lips is a space age rock band stranded on a planet with Gem and Scooby Doo vibes. So I got some stuff for
Cool.
you too.
Oh, yeah.
while you are doing something boring like cleaning or whatever, put one of these on. Or actually, no, don't do it like that. Have a cup of tea and a blanket and watch one, right?
And like sit down and be in it for sure.
Yeah, we need to be embracing our relax. Okay, so if you could collect three pieces of any band memorabilia of all time, what would you like to have?
Oof. I think, well, I'm really into like gear. I feel like certain like guitars and microphones and amplifiers kind of like carry the energy of the artists like before it, you know? And I mean like it would be really cool to have like microphones from all of my favorite singers and like be able to kind of bring them on stage and like use them every once in a while. Like if I could get like Haley Williams like tour microphone, like that would be crazy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she also wears like these awesome like shorts all the time. Like she wears these like really cool outfits that are very like almost like play suits where it's like it's just tiny top, tiny shorts. She's running around on stage and she's like
Mm-hmm.
so comfortable and free. And like it'd be so cute to own like a pair of those shorts and like be able
Mm-hmm.
to wear them. And like they're always like they just look so aesthetic. And then maybe like sunglasses from like Matt Schultz. That's Cage the Elephant. Again, it's just like a band that I like grew up with and like they're I don't know, their like first two albums are like so punk and like it would be really cool to kind of just have basically anything from that. I wanted to get a tattoo of them actually a while ago, but the art was a little too compiled together. The tattoo artist was like, "That's gonna fade weird in like 10 years." I was like, "That's
You know
fine."
what? I second
But
that tattoo artist because you never know what people are going to get canceled for. You don't want that shit on you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have no no freaking idea. I know. I don't do names. I don't do faces on I don't do words really for tattoos. I try to do pretty like descript but not descript things. But and I guess like the third item, I mean, it would be crazy to have like like a Stevie Nicks tambourine. You know what I mean? Like that
Mm-hmm.
would be wild. Yeah, or just like a pick from like Jimi Hendrix. Like I feel like all those things would like if you put all those things in like a cauldron and like said a few words around it, you would have like a supercharged just like rock and roll like totem.
If you could
Yeah.
pick bands for the lineup of a festival of your dreams, who would you choose and where would the fest take place? Any bands, as many bands as you decide, dead or alive.
Okay. I mean, all of the people I've already mentioned so far, obviously like those heavy hitters with everybody that I want I want to meet them and then I want to take all their things. So like, Paramore, Cage the Elephant, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Avril Lavigne. It'd be such a mixed bill. But then like there's this like Russian artist like Molchat Doma and they're like, kind of just synthy, very dark and gloomy. They have like this one really popular song and like um I'd probably also get Black Midi, who just recently went on like a hiatus, which is such a bummer. I got to see them live when they were in Boston, and I even saw them like walking through the crowd. I like wanted to go say hi, but I was like too starstruck. I was like, I don't want to annoy you guys. But Black Midi would be cool, even though they're on hiatus now, which is a bummer. And like where I would have it, I would probably have it in like kind of more of like a foresty setting. There's this really great festival in Bethel, Vermont. It's called Firefly, and it's more of like an artistic kind of like EDM like techno vibe thing.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun to dance around at, super fun to camp at. Because I don't really like, I've been to a ton of festivals where, like, for example, like I wouldn't camp at Warped Tour. I'd go to Warped Tour, but that
Mm-hmm.
would be like, that's like heat stroke city. You know what I mean? Like I could not set up a tent there and be comfortable. But if it's in the middle of the woods and then like the main stage was maybe more in like a fieldy area, like that would be really cool. And I've also been going back to like my scene kid roots and I've been listening to a lot of like Pierce the Veil and like Black Veil Brides recently and like and then I got into this band called Throne. And yeah, so I think like some like really, really heavy stuff and then some like weird kind of drony techno stuff and then some like classic rock would be probably like super fun.
Nice. That's cool. I like that because you could have like your different genres paired with different times of the day or different moods. And
Yep.
yeah, forest camping adventure sounds great. Um, Looking back, what was a big decision you made that turned out to be a great choice?
Yeah, well, one time I decided to move to California kind of on a whim. Good catch. I I had actually just like met somebody, and it was kind of like a beautiful, like falling in love like experience where, he was like, "Hey, I am gonna be moving to California in 2 months, and I would like to go on dates and like hang out with you." And I was like, "Cool, let's hang out and go on dates." And then we fell in love, and then we were basically together for the next like 2.5 years. And he was like, "I want you to come with me to California." And I was living in Jamaica Plain at the time in Boston. And I mean, I had a great life and good things, but I didn't have anything that was like concretely keeping me here. Like, I
Hmm.
didn't have the band yet, but I was working on music and stuff. But, I didn't have the band yet. I didn't really have, basically, the only thing I had was a job that I didn't really care for. I mean, it paid my bills. I was grateful for it, but, it wasn't like this major thing for me. And I said, fuck it, let's go to California. And then I just spent the next 2.5 years out there. And it was, I think the best thing about that experience for me, genuinely, was figuring out how much I actually love living in Massachusetts,
Hmm.
because I loved California's amazing. I lived in Long Beach for like a year and a half. And then I lived in like literally right off the boulevard in Hollywood for also kind of like a year, maybe like 8 months, something like that. And
Hmm.
it's beautiful out there. It's so fun. Like the art that I got to experience, I got to work with people out there and like make some music. And I worked as a tarot card reader on the boardwalk in Long Beach for like, maybe like half a year. That was a great experience because I got more in touch with my spiritual side. And then I also got more in touch with the people around me that way. Um, but then I was just like, the forest was literally calling my name. I was having these like vivid dreams of trees
Hmm.
towards the my time there because it was just all desert. And we were super lucky because there had been the most rain when we moved over there. There had been the most rain ever in, I think, like, what is it, like 20 years or something crazy. So there was this thing that happened that was called the super bloom. And there was essentially flowers every square inch. There was like 3 or 4 flowers like all throughout the deserts. So we went out there, we went to the Anza Borrego, we went to Joshua Tree, we went to Death Valley, and it was just flowers all throughout the desert. So it was a very like fortunate experience because like had I not been out there, it was like a once in a lifetime thing. And had I not been out there, I don't think I would have experienced that. And it really just like showed me who I was and like what was important to me and the type of art I wanted to be making. And then basically when I came back, I like started working on Dred Buffalo. Like I came back and I solidified myself here again. And then I started getting way more serious about getting my solo music out and actually performing on stage the way that I like had kind of dabbled in
Hmm.
when I was in Southern California. So it was this like it was just a huge transition from like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm just floating around. I'm having a good time. Like I just graduated high school. Am I going to go to college? Am I going to do this? I don't know. And then I, went on this experience and came back and was like, all right, let's make this happen. I know exactly what I want to do. I have this vision. I started to get people together. I started to get a guitarist first, and the band has had a lot of different like membership changes throughout the years, and we basically solidified in 2020. But that was the turning point for me. So yeah, it was a really important choice for me to make, and I was so grateful that I had that experience. And me and that guy, we ended on great terms too. We just grew apart, and then I came back and just started my career here.
Another rock goddess who talked about like moving to another city and then returning to her roots was Carly from Crossed Hearts. She had moved from Atlanta to Chicago, loved it in Chicago, but realized that she was a Southern woman and that
Yeah.
like she just like had a new sense of like her belonging. And I think that's really an important part of the sojourn that like hopefully everyone gets to experience when they are not too like settled down somewhere,
Yeah.
because you challenge your values when you change their context, and then you get to explore like, okay, I thought that this was like a very important way to live, and then I was exposed to something new. Like I was a very fiscally conservative individual, and I wouldn't invest in myself for a while. And then I met Laura, who actually played at Warp Tour. She's episode 1 of this series. And she and I ended up with this outrageous apartment in Capitol Hill, Seattle, where we had like 60 house plants, and just it was just like walking inside of a fairy grove, glitter, crystals. We never did anything practical at any time, and everything was pink. And then I was like, hmm, like you can be like cautious and you can sip the sweet nectar of life, and
Yeah.
like so you can have both, and so you can like expand your values, or yeah, just like put, change your perspective on things. And like that doesn't even mean that you no longer value what you used to value. It just enhances your understanding sometimes of why you value it.
Yeah.
um
Because
so go
when
ahead.
I was out in California too, like part of the experience for me was I did a lot of traveling and I went to like the redwoods and I saw the Oregon eclipse and I went to that festival and I went out to Burning Man and it was like I really wouldn't have been able to do all those things had the stars not aligned in like a really certain way, and like all of those experiences genuinely brought me out of my shell as an artist because I even remember I was at Burning Man and they had karaoke with a live band. And I had played and sang in front of, I was like a theater kid in high school. So I sung in front of audiences and stuff before, but it was like really one of the first times where I had like bass guitar, drums like behind me. And I remember I did House of the Rising Sun as like the karaoke song. And it was like amazing. And the audience was so excited and everybody was so excited, and like that hit, like that rush of like, oh wow, this is what I want, like this is really what I want to be doing, like I started to really experience those things out there. And then like you said, like in the context of a totally new environment and realizing like no, but like my roots though and where I came from, like that's actually really where I want to like be and where I want to like work on things.
So what is your favorite gear and your favorite stage wear?
Oh, cool. Yeah. So my favorite gear right now is my Telefunken M80 microphone. It is a beast and it has like the best clarity I've ever gotten out of a microphone live. And I've dropped it and I've like done the dumbest things with it. And it is like un unscathed, like unaffected, doesn't even care. And it's like this like chrome silver. So I don't know. I just love it. And I used to have like the SM58 because I feel like everybody kind of starts with that. It's like $100. It's like 99.98 at Guitar Center, and like you get
Mhm.
the SM58 and like because especially when like COVID happened and everything, I was like, I'm not using the club microphones. Like
Right.
I am
Mhm.
not putting my mouth on it because like I get way too close to the microphone and so does everybody else. And like I think that's a great thing. You really get in it, but like anyway. So then I got to upgrade to that, which was cool. And actually, I have this piece of stage gear right here that I really like. It's
Yeah.
this like
Oh, so
fringy suede. I got this when I was out in California because I was working at a vintage store, just to kind of like be around really cool clothes. And I would get like first access to all the stuff that came in. And it's literally just this like vest that like hangs over. I'll show
mhm.
you.
Yeah, it's
And
giving
like
butterfly.
the movement on it is like incredible on stage. Let me see if I can get it to actually go the direction I need it to go for me here. But like, come on. Like
Mhm.
it just flows. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So back to the lineup change. When you hit that inevitable flaming hoop in the circus, like lineup changes or canceled tours or delayed releases, what helps you keep your spirit up, such as a mantra or a role model?
I have a couple of things that kind of keep me going. Like I have this phrase of like I wouldn't have gotten this far to only get this far. So it just I've had like enough success so far that like I still want to grind for more and there's still more to do to really make this like my living. Um at the same time, we've had enough like you know, fire in the tank and like gas in the engine that I'm like, okay, I wouldn't be on this path and I wouldn't have already done all these good things if like this wasn't what I was like meant to do. And like I know I have more work to do, but like I can look back on like my previous like, you know, successes. And I also look back on the fact that like 3 years ago me would kill to be where I am right now.
Mm.
Like yeah, I'm not playing a sold out Coachella set right now, but I'm also like we're playing much bigger shows to bigger audiences and great clubs, and I have these incredible like relationships within my community now that like I like would have just, you know, I was salivating for basically, you know, like 3 years ago. And I know all these like wonderful bookers and great bands, and there's that. And then also there's this one video, and like I think her music is great. I don't really listen to like a lot of her music, but there's this one video of Ariana Grande singing Happy Birthday in a Chili's. She used to work at Chili's. And literally I just like think about that and I'm like, all right, listen. Ariana Grande used to work at Chili's. There are people who have had all of these like bumps in the road. Chapel Roan had this like 10-year thing where she gets dropped from her label and she has to move back home, and like I just feel like the process isn't this just like linear pyramid of success, obviously. So, yeah, I just kind of come back to the fact that like some of the people that have the type of success that I'm looking for, or people that I look up to in general, like they've
Hmm.
also experienced these bumps in the road. And like, I just, again, go back to the things that I have accomplished. And then I like also just lean on my team. I'm really fortunate for my band and my manager and like producers that I've worked with because they're very positive. You know, everybody like if one of us is feeling down that day, like, oh man, like I thought this post was gonna get more likes or whatever, you know, like we all
Mhm.
kind of have this way of like just beefing each other up and being like, nah, it's cool, it's good, this was successful, we've got this around the corner, we're also
Mhm.
playing that festival in a month, like okay, maybe this one didn't sell as many tickets as we thought, but next month we're definitely going to because we have a guarantee, da 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 da. You know, we just try to like just focus on the positive because it kind of comes back to what you were talking about earlier with, you know, telling your nervous system like, hey, we're not in fight or flight right now. Like we're in abundance, like we're cool. And I feel like that gives your brain and your perception the ability to really take in those opportunities when they come to you. Because if you're in this like fight or flight, you're all like anxious and tense and stuff, like you're really blinded because your body is only focused on like survival. So you're not focused on like, oh, I'm gonna find this like successful gold at the end of the rainbow. I'm like focused on food and water and whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
staying positive.
Yeah, totally. The mindset. That is also why I asked that question because as the series has gone on, I've been thinking about like how much more this series has been serving people than I initially understood it would. Like I had ideas about what it would do, but then I started to learn that like we needed to share with each other things about positive mindset, self-care, like talk about like things like just like what we aspire to, what we love and appreciate and feel grateful for, like that was actually what the women needed in the community at its core, and connection and being able to reach each other. You'll see after the episode when it's posted that you're going to end up in a playlist of all the rock goddesses in your region. So the whole northeastern US. So you'll be able to find all these other women who have already, energetically opened themselves through the Rock Goddess Collective to cooperation, and like that's just like that is the way. It's always the power in unity. But yeah, like I mean, having that kind of mindset gives you the space to like prepare yourself creatively and be abundant creatively. And then when you meet that opportunity, then people will call it luck.
Yes. Yeah, luck is a combination of preparation and right place, right time. And it's luck it's not what it seems, obviously, just like you mentioned.
Yeah, 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 right? Like we all make our own luck. That's
Yeah.
a well-known fact, right? Girl science again. And like yeah, the more you plant those little seeds, the more you reap.
Yep.
So, all right. Speaking of abundance, what is a performance memory that you will never forget?
Oh yeah. I have like two really good ones. I was playing at Ralph's Rock Diner in Worcester, and we were playing this like it was like festival-esque because there was I think maybe like 8 bands on the bill, and it was like kind of the whole day. And like Ralph's, for the viewers at home, Ralph's Rock Diner is this like incredible amalgamous building that like the front of the building is like a train car that's like a diner, and then it like is attached to the rest of the warehousey area, and you go upstairs, there's a stage with huge velvet curtains and like the craziest art all over the walls, and like the floor is so sticky. Like it's just one of those places where it's like if you've eaten a burger at Ralph's Rock Diner, like you don't need like any flu shots for that year, you know what I'm saying? Like your immune system is like fine. So, but it was it was like a just huge show. We had a great experience. I got to take this like crazy wide-eyed like selfie because with the audience in the background because everybody was right up to the front of the stage. And I talked to a woman in the audience afterwards because we would do these we do like Led Zeppelin covers, and she was like, I used to hate Led Zeppelin because my ex-boyfriend, who was such a dick, like loved them, and you made me like Led Zeppelin again. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
that is so
like,
healing. We love that. Oh,
uh,
healing
so
the
that was,
people with your
yeah, like
incantation.
exactly, yeah. And like, I don't know, it was such a great experience and to connect with the audience that way. And we also played at Bristol Porch Fest last year, and that was more of like a wholesome experience. Like Ralph's Rock Diner is like super seedy, super awesome dive bar.
Hmm.
But Bristol Porch Fest, there's like kids running around, there's like people doing face paint up the road. You know what I mean? It was such a fun
Hmm.
experience. And I had like a gaggle of children literally in front of me, like dancing and doing like cartwheels. There was this one girl
Oh,
who I swear to God, she's gonna be a rock star someday because she was like, and mind you, the amps are right there and they are so loud. She's like right here, right up against all the music. And I like looked at her parents. I'm like, is this okay? They're like, it's okay. And we're like, okay. And like we're dancing together and she's holding my hand and all this stuff. And we were very fortunate that the community was so supportive, because that day we had the biggest crowd of that year's Porch Fest. And it was just amazing. It was amazing to receive the support. It was amazing to be a part of the community. It was amazing to dance with the kids, and to share, our art with everybody. So yeah.
love that. So, after a long day of recording and touring and working out the kinks, how do you most like to practice self care? I'm excited for your answer in particular because I feel like you know.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I really prioritize my like health and well-being like as much as physically possible. There's a whole world going on around us. Nobody's perfect. That's also another thing. I feel like there's a lot of stress, especially now, to be this like clean girl aesthetic, like you're totally on top of it, like you've meditated every single day for the last 16 years. Like I I just want everybody to know that everything that you are doing that makes you feel good and is genuinely healing for you, like however much you're doing it is great. Nobody needs to be this like absolutely regimented robot. And I just, I really like push that ideology away. And part of that too is like really listening to my body and like personally, like, I work out, I run. Running is really good cardio for singers. I do a lot of screaming and belting on stage, so like lung capacity is like huge. And I do a lot of yoga because that is like, again, as like a vocalist, your body is your instrument, and it's like to stretch it out and to strengthen it. I view it the same as like, like setting up a guitar, and like getting the truss rod all adjusted. It's like I'm, adjusting my body and I'm adjusting like my mind. And I go to therapy. I love therapy. I've been in therapy
Hmm.
forever. I think everybody, like, if they want to, should go to therapy because it's even if you're not going through something crazy right now, like I've been in therapy for basically most of my life, and sometimes things were crazy and sometimes things were super chill for years and nothing really crazy was going on, but it was really nice to have that, consistent support. And then I really enjoy like good food, I've transitioned a lot into like intuitive eating, because for a while I had some like sort of like restrictive eating habits, not super intense, nothing super crazy, but it was very regimented. Like I was very regimented on the things that I was quote unquote allowed to do. And that's another reason why I kind of preach like I feel like tapping into your own intuition and like aligning yourself with what works best for you,
Hmm.
regardless of what the TV is telling you or the Instagram is telling you or whatever is telling you. I think that's the most important. So yeah, most of my self-care is just based on like, hey, where's my body at? Am I sore today? I'm gonna do chill yoga. Am I really hyped and excited? I'm gonna go lift some weights. Like, let's go figure that out.
Nice. I like that. So intuitive. All right. So, do you have any new announcements for us?
Well, I mentioned earlier in our little program that we are releasing a single on August 23rd. The song is called Say So. It is about heartbreak and terrible men, basically. And I am so looking forward to the song to come out because we got to record it down in Nashville with Roger. And I mean, I feel like with artists, every new thing we do, it's like better than the last thing. And this for us, it's really better than the last thing. August 23rd. It's called Say So. That day, we are also going to be playing at the Lizard Lounge in Boston. So, all my Boston family, if you're out there, if you hear me, we'd love to see you there. If you see me and you see this podcast, you want to come up and say hi, I'll give you a free pin. I'll give you some merch. It'll be a lot of fun. But
Heck
that's the
yeah.
Lizard Lounge, Boston. And because this is such a community-based platform, I'm working on an event where, first of all, I love that you have created this space for like women in rock to kind of to communicate with each other, yeah, and to like be together, to meet each other, and to, because if you build it, they will come, so to
Mm,
have like a space. One of the things that I'm working on specifically in Rhode Island right now, because we gig a lot in there, is I'm getting together these like rock nights. We don't have a name for it yet. We don't have a brand for it yet. The first one is going to be January 10th. It's super, super far out. But ladies, if you hear me and you're in a rock band and you want to play, we're going to be having them monthly. So my Instagram is Alerisa Rose. The O is a zero. I'm sure that'll be plugged everywhere here too, but shoot me a message if you would like to be involved in this because we're going to start getting bands together monthly because there's no rock and roll scene. Like there's no like this is the one spot, at least in my area.
mhm.
Maybe in your area you guys have like that really cool just like rock bar, but in my area we have everything for techno and hardcore and goth and emo and all this other stuff. Super fun. I go all the time, but nothing for specifically rock and roll. So we're putting together this event.
Mm,
If you have a band and you want to play, please shoot me a message. I want to put your name on that list and we'll get you in the rotation.
love that. Let's put together a like call for band collab post since
Oh,
most
amazing.
people that follow me are like a bunch of different bands. So
Yeah.
that I are all people are always saying in these interviews that they're like, I want to play with other girls, I want to play in new places, and it's like,
Yep.
well, here you go. So, love that. That is a wonderful announcement. And where can everyone listen to your music and follow what you do? We have your Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the band, dreadbuffalo.com. That's Dred, buffalo like the animal.com. Everything is there, all of our links, all of our everything, all of our music in general is, Spotify, Apple Music, like Deezer, YouTube Music. It's everywhere it could possibly be when it comes to streaming, again, under the same name. Our Instagram is also the same, Dred, buffalo like the animal. And yeah, we also have some older like stuff on Bandcamp, which is just from like a couple of different members that we had in the past. And we've moved on to other things, but if you want like some Dread Buffalo lore, check
Mhm.
out our Bandcamp. Yeah, there's some kind of like, deep cuts in there, basically. So yeah.
That is such a great uh phrase to the Dread Buffalo lore. All right,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna play the vinyl game. If you've seen any episodes of this show before, you already know how to play. I'm gonna hold up two pieces of vinyl and you'll pick one that you want to say something about or have a question about or anything. So Grace
Okay.
Slick or Fairport Convention.
Ooh. Well, how about you tell me more about Fairport? Because I know Grace Slick, I love Grace Slick, but I want to learn about new things that I don't know anything about.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you chose to talk about Fairport Convention. I like one Led Zeppelin song, The Battle of Evermore. And that is because Sandy Denny of Fairport Convention sings on that song. So a lot of people don't know that Led Zeppelin did record with a female singer.
Yep.
Um, Sandy Denny, she didn't live to old age, but she was learned to sing folk songs from the British Isles from her grandmother. And yeah, and they're very magical. If you like this way that Stevie Nicks
Uh-huh.
writes, the themes that she writes with, then Fairport Convention will be for you, especially the songs Matty Grove and Tam Lin.
Cool.
Check it out.
I will,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
Cool.
and then never forget that a woman sang for Led Zeppelin. So every time a man wants to talk about it, just mention that fact and then be like, I guess you don't really listen to Led Zeppelin that much. So
Right,
Adele
exactly.
or Bonnie Tyler?
Ooh, talk to me about Bonnie Tyler because I don't know much about Bonnie Tyler.
My pleasure. Bonnie Tyler. Um, also from the British Isles. And
Oh, cool.
she, you probably know the song Total Eclipse of the Heart,
I
but
do. Yep.
is on this album with this like excellent sort of Frank Herbert looking art on the
Oh,
back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she's got these other songs on here, like this one, It's a Jungle Out There is one of my favorite Bonnie Tyler songs. But this is a great album to get introduced to her stuff. She's got a very raspy voice. And if you,
Yep.
yeah. Then Faster Than the Speed of Night is also one of her big hits. So. But you actually do. You do know Bonnie Tyler, but now you can
I
know more
do.
Bonnie. Okay. Here's a challenge for you.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, that is challenging because I love both of those artists. Hmm. Oh my God. Let's talk Dolly Parton. Let's pull some Dolly out. I'm obsessed with her, genuinely. When we went down to Nashville, I was so close to going to Dolly World, but then we didn't have time.
Oh, now you have to go again.
I
Yep,
know, I know.
just for the Dolly World, Dollywood.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Hollywood, yep.
she is mother.
She is
Mother.
mother.
Everybody's got a different album that they respond to and say she is mother, but for me, gosh, this really is Dolly Parton for me. Just like the big smile, and she's so little, and she's so
I know.
shiny, and like she got the nails. And you know what? Dolly Parton never cut her nails, and neither will I. So
Okay,
she played guitar with her long acrylics, and I'll be playing bass with mine, no matter how annoying that is for men on the internet. Dusty
amazing.
Springfield or Janis Joplin?
That album, Pearl, it like holds my heart. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that because I love that album. That is like, because she finally got to do that her own thing, and she is like away from Big Brother and the Holding Company because they're great too. But it's just like to have her solo debut basically. Oh my God, that album is like incredible. I love that album so much.
Quite agree. Quite agree. Do you have a favorite Janis Joplin song? No, it's not.
Well, you know, I really like the song Maybe,
Hmm.
uh, because she is just like she's like she speaks for so many women in terms of this feeling of needing this like success and this like party and this like larger than life lifestyle, but also within these like confines of like quote what a woman is supposed to be. And they always gave her all this flack for how she looked and her face and her this and her whatever, and she never cared. But then she also was so unapologetic about the fact that she just wanted to be loved. Like genuinely, most of her blues is just like it's like I don't want any girl ever to feel like her life needs to revolve around a man because it does not. And I don't think that any woman needs to sit and plant her flag in the sand of some other guy's kingdom.
Yeah.
And like and I love that Janice, while simultaneously maintaining her feminine power and freedom, was also like, but I want a good lover and I want to cuddle and I want to be respected and I want that partnership that's going to make me like sing my heart out, you know? And I just think that like that balance it's sung to me so many times and like within that album and other songs that she's done like oh my gosh I just love it.
Well said.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and she did get a lot for her looks, which is like so outrageous because I remember as a teen, like receiving the impression that society had about Janis Joplin and about like how her appearance was like devalued so much. And then I got older and I was like, there's nothing wrong with her.
She's
She's a
beautiful.
perfectly attractive person. Yeah,
I
she had
know.
a great body. That was like one of the things they said that she didn't have a good body. She had a great body. Like everybody would want to look like that. She
Are you
looked
kidding
great.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah, and also
nothing
it's
wrong with her.
crazy because like there's the rhetoric behind a woman's body and the way she's supposed to look. It's crazy how like there's this one show, Ugly Betty, and I'm not gonna pigeonfoot too hard here, but they literally call her like fat. Like it's crazy to see. Like I'm grateful we have come so far to the point where bodies are so beautiful and they always have been. It's insane to see like the rhetoric of the past and what was considered like not it or like whatever. And then they wonder why women experience like all these like societal pressures to fit into these like tiny size zero waist boxes, you know?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that.
yeah.
What is the up with the male gaze and the fascination with a prepubescent woman?
Oh, I know. Seriously. I mean, it's like a I mean, look at Dolly Parton, right? She
Yeah.
is there. She is like she is curvaceous. She is
But she
a
was
hundred.
also a size zero. Like she was small and like her waist, she had no waist, she was a B. Um,
Right.
so another person who really liked Janis Joplin was Mama Cass. And I
Okay.
think that you would dig Mama Cass's lyrics if you haven't
Yeah.
heard them before. Have you heard them? So she
She
sang,
sounds familiar, but I don't think I've heard a lot of her music now.
you would have heard her when she was with the Mamas and the Papas and they did California Dreaming.
Yep.
But
Okay.
her solo stuff, like you can see that she was not fitting the conventions of her
Yeah.
time and she didn't give no shits.
That's
And
what
so her lyrics are like, it's so fun to hear such a no fucks woman from the 60s.
I'm
So fun. So,
because like to be rebellious as a woman and for your rebellion to just be your body in its natural form is crazy, you
just
know?
being a woman is a job. So,
Uh, being a woman is a full contact sport. That's what I say.
yeah, I better just stop there. All right. So Tina Turner or Betty Davis?
Ooh, talk to me about Betty Davis because I don't know enough about Betty Davis.
Okay, Betty Davis was born in Pennsylvania and she had an international modeling career, obviously. And she married a man that was 20 years older than her and was a very famous musician. So probably pretty creepy. And his name was Miles Davis. And
Uh,
she's still alive, but has like chosen to live in obscurity. But the last that was heard of her was that she was living in a basement with no car and
wow,
no job and no uh like relationship to the outside world. So,
interesting.
but she's so beautiful.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Anyway,
Wow.
she um was singing songs that were also wild and free. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up. Stuff like that. Your man, my man. Mm. Game is my middle name. So anyway,
Oh,
her songs, oh, and her song Nasty Gal is
oh,
really really fun and a very unique song structure. It's actually a bit of a duet. It is a duet. And it's almost more like beat poetry than like singing, but it's very like raspy and jazzy. So
mm,
that
that's
is,
beautiful.
yeah, if you like Janis Joplin or if you like Etta James, then Betty Davis will be a girl for you.
Yeah, okay, I love that. I would love to hear that, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all your time today. Long episode. It was
Yeah,
so
no,
fun to talk to
absolutely.
you.
It was so fun to chat with you too. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's great to be on a platform with a ton of other amazingly powerful women. It's an honor. So thank you. I appreciate that.
You're so welcome. We'll be in touch. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.